But if you were to go back to your childhood and you were to look at how we raised you, like what are the things that you would try to do different when you're a parent?
Yeah, we kind of talked about this previously. For me, the first thing that kind of just came to mind where it's like actual critiques was just I think sometimes.
Men in the Arena Army, we salute you. Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Men in the Arena podcast. I'm Jim Ramos, your guide and host, leading you to your best version in the stress bubble of life and beyond. Welcome to the #1 podcast for Christian men. Hey, this is one of our Average Joe interviews, which is a 30-minute, more of a short form interview where we interview local guys, but these guys are not average. And I'm really excited. I'm doing something I've never done before. We're going to give you an authentic look into the life and parenting of Jim Ramos. I have my favorite youngest son on the podcast today. Colton Ramos is here. Colton is 27 years old. He was born on July 31st at 5:52 a.m. Did you know I do that? 5:52. He's 27 years old. He's a Linfield University graduate. He's the only one in the family who actually played, except for me, who played 4 years of college football. Started every game of his college career. Very proud of that. And so, yes, I do brag. But the thing I like about Cole, I'm going to look at my son right now and tell him. So the thing I like about you the most, or the thing that kind of separates you, that makes you different than your brothers, I think you got a funny sense of humor. Colton got a lot of discipline as a kid because he would say something he thought was funny. We thought it was disrespectful. Do you remember that? Yeah. And so Colton got a few spanks and groundings, and we later in life were like, oh, he was just trying to be funny. Well, we thought he was being a smart aleck, you know. So love his sense of humor. Colton is you are a phenomenal natural servant. Just being in the area and doing some of the things you've done around the house for us. You're just a natural servant. Like you serve with Young Life. You're just a natural servant. It just comes natural to you, and I really respect that. The other thing I really appreciate about you is growing up, we would ask you to do something, and you were the kid that said no, and then you'd always think about it and do it. And so as an adult, I realized, well, if I want Colton to do something, I'll just say, hey, I've got this thing I'd like you to do. Just think about it. And you always do it because you always do like the right thing. In fact, your brother James, who we're going to interview next week, or in a couple weeks, said Colton got the best out of all of us. And I think what he meant by that is you've always had this real strong moral compass that always kind of directed you, and even to this day, you've got this real strong moral compass that I appreciate, and it flows out of a place of strength and not weakness. And so I really appreciate that about you. I appreciate, so you are. Like if mom and I were in a hospital or we had to go to a home, you would probably be the ones to care for. You would be the one to care for us. You know, James is very empathetic, but you're kind of boots on the ground service, like muddy, blood and guts. You're the one that gets in there. So I feel like if something ever went wrong, you would probably be the one to care for us. It just seems more natural to you than the others. And I really respect and appreciate that a lot. So those are just a couple of the things I like about you. I'm very proud of you. I brag about you all the time. You're a great young man, and I'm excited to see where God leads you. You're very called to ministry. I don't know where that's going to lead you, but I feel like there is a sense of calling that the other two brothers don't necessarily have. They feel called to workforce, but you really have gotten involved in ministries, so that would be pretty fun. And you're pursuing a career in marine biology, so that'll be interesting. That's taking you to Key Largo, San Diego, Big Pine Key, Newport, San Mateo. It's kind of back and forth, so it'll be fun to see what happens. So welcome to the show, son.
Thank you. Glad to be here. No, it took you 27 years to say those nice things to me, but that's all right.
That is.
I'm just kidding.
And I do appreciate how much he's talked smack. So if you're involved in our family and you can't talk smack, you don't survive long. So we love to banter. We tell each other we love each other all the time. It's just part of what we do. So, okay, son, so I brought you on the podcast. I don't know what you're going to say. We want to give our audience just a look into my past when you were in the home. And I mean, you just graduated college about 5 years ago. So, you know, you went to school here in town. So we did see you quite a bit, went to your games. And I was a chaplain of the football team the last year there. So we've been pretty connected. But if you were to go back to your childhood, you don't remember California, mostly Oregon, and you were to look at how we raised you, Like, what are the things that you would try to do different when you're a parent?
Yeah, we kind of talked about this previously. Like, there's a lot of things that I think you did right, and I think being the youngest son, you kind of got to me, or me being the youngest son, you kind of got to me, and it's like, oh, you've kind of learned, and so I think I got the better half of the parenting, where it's like, you learned from your mistakes, I guess, from the other two. Yeah, and you got to me, and it was different. So like my interview versus James is you're probably gonna have a lot more critiques on his end than mine. So for me, like the first thing that kind of just came to mind, where it's like actual critiques. Was just like I think sometimes the way that mom was treated in front of us, or like the anger that sometimes came out of you towards her. I think a kid notices that, and like a little kid, I remember being like, "Are you guys getting divorced?" And like you never were, and you said fighting is a part of marriage. But I think being careful of when you do that in front of a kid. Because once I got to high school, I was like, "Oh, they're just fighting. They're just being adults." Yeah. But as like a parent to a kid who's like maybe middle school, we're like. I think the middle school ages where a lot of kids like think their parents are getting divorced or they actually do get divorced. Yeah. And so I think being careful as a parent how you talk to your spouse in front of your kids at a certain age. At a certain age, they understand what you're actually talking about. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what I as a parent would do differently is just like choosing when I pick my battles and like the timing, like when the kids are home, stuff like that. And
then, can we stop there?
Yeah.
So a couple things about that. So Mom and I wrote a book together. You know, it's coming out April 7th of this year. It's called Guardrails, 10 Boundaries for an Unbreakable Marriage. And Guardrail 4 of that book is called Frame Your Bride Well. And the whole first part of the chapter, I talk about my great infidelity. I never cheated on Mom, never come close to cheating on Mom. But the great infidelity was how I framed your mother in front of you guys. And so that's probably the biggest regret I have in my life is how I framed her, regardless of the situation or where she was emotionally at the moment. I should not have ever framed her like negatively to you guys, or even bought into your perspective of her. I should have framed her differently to you guys. And I think the other part of that is, and that's my greatest regret in marriage. I feel like the rest of my life I'll be trying to frame her differently to you guys because I don't think I did that well. Divorce was never on the table. It was never even a thing we talked about. That was never an option for us. So that, I mean, you might have had that fear, but it was never conveyed. We never had that option. But the other failure in that comment you made is this. We should have, and this is something I wish I did better, we should have taken our arguments into the bedroom and not in front of you guys. Like we would just, you know what I mean? And so it'd get, Mom's an extrovert, I'm an extrovert, you're an extrovert, James is an extrovert. The only one that's an introvert is Darby. So the whole family was loud. And I think in the context of the marriage, I should have taken that into private place where you guys didn't have to witness it firsthand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about that?
No, I mean, that's true. And I think it's hard, like when you have 3 boys in the house, like figuring out time alone to like have your arguments. But yeah, no, definitely. I think that was part of it. Just like, because we were hearing it all, where I think a lot of my friends were like, I never hear my parents fight. And I'm like, maybe you don't hear them, but they definitely probably do. Yeah. So I think, yeah, that was definitely the one.
Which meant we fought in front of your friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They saw it.
If it was go time, it was go time. So that was a big regret I have. We were in the stress bubble. There's stress. And so Mom and I deal with our stress. We don't internalize it. We externalize it. And so, so that's the biggest failure I've ever had in the marriage for sure. As a father. Well,
I've seen you learn from it too. Like as an adult too. Like every once in a while, me, Darby, or James will make a comment to Mom, and you're like, you don't talk to your mother that way.
Yeah.
And we never really heard that as much as kids, but like as an adult, it's like, okay, you are definitely like, you have learned from it, and like.
I'm learning. Yeah. Because my default is to. Default into the old ways. So yeah, I appreciate that. What other critiques? What other things do you think we could have done better?
I think that's the only one as far as like being a father. But the lighthearted one that I had that I thought of was like, yeah. So and I thought it was like, I wish you would have taught us like more life skills that you knew. Like I remember talking to you, I was like, why didn't you ever teach us how to change our oil? And like, you're not like a car guy, but like you said you knew how to change your oil. And so like stuff like that where it was like, I learned how to work on cars, and I've learned a lot how to work on cars in the last 5-10 years, but a lot of it's been from my friends' dads.
Yeah, and from YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. But like my friend's dad taught me how to work on my car, and I was like, oh, I wish my dad would have taught me that, which you didn't know a lot about cars, but like the small things you did know were like how to change a tire. I learned from one of my friends and not from you. Small things where I'm like, I wish my life, just because you would like, you hear all these lives, oh, my dad taught me this, or you listen to country music and your dad's teaching you all these things. And so I just wish like certain life skills you would have taught us. But I think the life skills you were great at, you did teach us. Like you taught us how to hunt, fish, and you weren't great at working on cars. So I think you weren't like, well, I don't want to be the one teaching this because this isn't like something I've perfected or am great at. And you're good at outsourcing your skills. You've learned this in your time. And I think you knew that maybe wasn't your strong suit. But I just wish there were certain life skills that like you knew that you could have taught us that I learned from somebody else's father.
That's a really good point. I changed my oil all the way through college, and I just got tired of it, so I just paid somebody to do it, and I knew how to do it. And when we were driving on vacation to Sisters or Sun River one time, do you remember when the tire got flat in Sun River? No, in Sisters we got the flat tire, and I changed it, so I know how to do it, but I just never, I didn't think about that. That was just not a thing I thought about, and I probably should have thought about that. I mean, I taught you the hunting, fishing skills, but I never thought about that part of it.
Yeah, well, it was fun. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you taught us a lot of things, like how to throw a football, like a lot of certain things. But yeah, just like stuff like that where, like Darby and James might not think of that because like they don't work on cars, but I work on cars a lot more.
Yeah.
And so I think to me, I was like, man, I just like wish I would have learned this small thing from him, but it wasn't your skill set. But yeah, like changing a tire or something weird like that,
I think I could have done better at teaching you guys everything instead of just showing you. I showed you a lot. I modeled a lot, but I didn't actually teach a lot. And I expected a lot, but I didn't really probably teach a lot. And so, yeah. And a lot of it I don't know. I don't know construction. I don't know a lot of things. But no, that's a really good point. That's a really good point, which I guess the challenge for the guys listening would be for you guys to learn some of these skills so that you could teach your children some of these skills. So I wouldn't say that's a lighthearted one. I think that's pretty serious.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm glad you didn't teach me construction because we'd
we
have
would
a problem.
Because the shed I built was 2 inches off square. So, but it's still standing.
Yep. Yeah, to the guys listening, just learn a small skill. Like changing your oil takes, on a lot of cars nowadays, takes 10, 15 minutes. Like if you have a newer Tacoma, something like that, and like, I don't know, just learn small skills. Changing your tire, like that'd take you 10 minutes to teach your kid how to do that,
Yeah, you know how to butcher a buck. You know how to butcher a buck, sharpen a knife, catch a fish, kill a deer. But those are the survival skills that really matter.
Yeah.
Because when the crap goes to heck, you're not even going to have a car, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly. When the EMP hits, right?
When the EMP hits, you're not have to worry about it. So, anything else?
Those are like the only really critiques I had. Like I said, being the youngest, I think there was a lot of things that I like appreciated that you guys did that might have been a flaw, but I thought it was good. And so, I think James will give you a lot more critiques than I will when you have his interview. But
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's the first one, so we messed him up the most.
Yeah.
So, but he turned out pretty good. So, how about the things that you said? Okay, this is something that dads should do.
Yeah, I sat down the other day and I was thinking about, okay, what are some things that stood out that I think other parents didn't do that I think guys listening to this could learn from? And I think one that was huge that a lot of my friends were like, wait, what? You do that every day? Was the meals. Like we've talked about this. Like we had breakfast together. You made us lunch so we could take to school, and then like we always had dinner. And it got hard. We played sports, and so it wasn't always like perfect, right? It looks different as you get older, but definitely the years like up until 8th grade, like pretty consistently having every meal. I think some guys listening to this like be hard for them because they get up. I've worked at a rock quarry. I've been a heavy machine operator. Like I get it. You get to work at before the sun rises in the winter in Oregon. Like you're getting to work at 6 in the morning. It makes it hard, but like I think just you had the jobs where you could do that. But as a guy listening, like you could still make lunch for your kids, right? Still have breakfast ready before they wake up. So I think there are things as a guy listening to this that's working blue collar that they could do still. But yeah, I appreciated the meals every day. You made us lunch. Sometimes we taught you should put peanut butter on both sides because he made very soggy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that till later in life.
Yeah.
So.
And then the dinners, like, and you never made the fanciest meals, but it was a meal that we had together. And I think in today's world with technology and kids on their phones and being handed iPads, like a meal together is rare. And so I think as a person listening to this, as a father, that's one thing you could do to stand out from other parents.
Well, that's so yeah, the dinners we did, but because of sports, they were a little bit more 3 to 4 days a week. And I'm the cook in the family. My wife does not like to cook. I cooked in high school. I cooked in college. I love to cook. So cooking for me was a way to contribute to the family while trying to regain my composure after a day of work or in the morning. In the morning, Shannon went to work and did things, or even when you were little, she didn't work, but I want to give her a break to get ready because she had to watch you all day. So we would make her a coffee, get you guys breakfast. Breakfasts were usually some kind of protein, eggs, sausage, bacon, or pancakes with protein powder. And then we'd come together, have a little devotional, share the day, 15 minutes. It wasn't a big deal, but you guys came down. And we did that probably 5 days a week. And then I forgot about making you guys' lunches. So I forgot about that. And that was always a couple sandwiches, potato chips, maybe a power bar.
We were never the kids with the fun fruit roll-up snacks, but we had a lunch made by our dads.
And you all had six-packs in high school.
Yep.
I think the meals is important.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And I think a lot of parents will make a lot of excuses why they can't do it. So that was good. But yeah, so that's one I think stood out. I think just showing your faith to us was what stood out. Like, I remember writing in my phone prayer walks. Like, I have a very distinct memory as a kid. I think it was middle school. And asked Mom, I woke up, I was like, where's Dad? And you went, oh, he's on his prayer walk. Oh. Because as a kid, you're like, what? He's just walking and praying? Like, that's kind of, is he okay? That's weird. But I think you get older, and you're like, oh, I remembered that. Like, I don't remember what pastor said on Sundays when you forced us to go to church, but I remember you being on prayer walks. I think that was super cool. You didn't do it all the time, but I've had that distinct memory for a long time, and I was like, huh, he does that. And so kids notice more than I think dads think. And so I remember that one specifically, and I think just being a father and just not even maybe preaching to your kids or making them read the Bible, but just doing certain things where they're noticing it, I think is more important for a kid's standpoint.
You know, it's funny. I did prayer walks in California every day. But in Oregon, it rains so much. It's cold so much. Finally, after a couple of years, I stopped doing it. So I don't remember doing the prayer walks when you were little. I mean, I knew I did them for the first couple of years we lived here, but I changed that into my office. And so I'd read the Bible at the home, and then I would do the prayer walks and the prayer time, usually in an office. But that's interesting you remember that.
Yeah, I would have been elementary school, it must have been.
Yeah, 6,
young,
7,
but
8.
I remember vividly that one thing. I was like, huh.
I remember we went on a prayer walk. I was with Darby one time, and we were walking to a friend's house. And I said, oh, this is the way Dad goes on a prayer walk. And Darby looked at me funny. And I go, what's wrong, son? He goes, how do you not walk into cars? I'm like, I opened my eyes on the prayer walks, Darby. But it was pretty funny for that. So, no, that's an interesting one that you would remember. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
Oh, something I think, I didn't write this down, but it just popped up in my mind as I'll say it. I think it pertains to the podcast, is the walk a mile in my shoes.
Oh, when you were 18?
Yeah.
When you were 18, the rite of passage.
Yeah, was it 18 or 13? Or is
we did
two
a 13.
ones?
We did a 13 one that was kind of welcome into manhood, and then we did an 18 one, which was welcome to adulthood. We're after college. You want to explain what happened there?
Yeah. So, and this is like I said, things that stood out. I think other parents don't do that they could. The walking a mile in my shoes was basically Dad chose 5, 6 guys that were influential men in our lives, or he thought could be influential men in our lives, and we walked. Was it a mile with each person, or
a mile with each person?
And they basically just gave us life advice, things that we could work on, going into adulthood, things to look for in marriage someday, and just certain things that you wouldn't hear from your dad, or your dad is too afraid to tell you, or won't tell you. And it was just cool, and I think a lot of parents don't do that, or a lot of men don't have 6 friends they could trust their kid with to do a prayer walk with. So it was cool to get to do that, because there were things I would do growing up that I would tell my friends about, and they're like, what? What? Because they just want to get it, because my dad was a pastor, and it was just kind of what you did, or, so I think that was a cool thing that we did, that an average guy could pick 2 of his buddies to do it with, and
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the rite of passage is critical. Women have a natural, biological welcome into adulthood, but the guys don't. We have to do something to initiate our young men into. We did manhood when they were younger and adulthood when they were older. So I think that's a great one. Appreciate that.
Yep. I think the last one that I would say is just the sporting events. 3 sons, you could have got to me and been like, whatever. And I played 3 sports all 4 years of high school, which is not typical.
Yeah, you were one of only 4 guys in your class of 2,000 in your whole school that played 3 sports all 4 years of high school.
Guys, yeah, I think there was 10 people, but yeah, it was, and so a lot of sporting events, right, and all over the place, yeah, in the rainy Oregon, and you guys, if you made it to almost every single one. There were some you didn't make, and there were some that I was like, don't go, and you still came. track meets. I was like, you don't have to come to my track meets because I didn't really care that much about track, but you guys still came to at least 1 or 2 or 3 of my events. And so I think showing up to all my sporting events was huge. Like, even if like my senior year, right, I was on the basketball team of a big school, but I didn't really play a lot, right? You guys are still at every game, even though it's like I might see 3 minutes on the court. And so it was just cool that you guys were at every sporting event. And I don't know, that was just, as a kid, you notice those things. And I think the average guy, the average dad out there, like, you can make that work. And I think most employers, especially nowadays, are like a lot more lenient than they used to be in the past.
Yeah.
And are willing to let you off an hour or 2 early to go do things. And like, I've worked 8 jobs in the last 2 years or 3 years, like different jobs, blue collar, white collar, like all these different types of jobs. Yeah. And I've had lots of different types of employers, and they will give you things off for family.
Oh, 100%.
It's just, they will. And so, like, the average dad can get his time off for the games. You might think, oh, I have to work to make this money for my kid. But you might make less money, but you're there for your kid at their sporting events.
Yeah, what are the kids going to remember?
Yeah, exactly.
So wait, you said I only made 3 of your field events? I think I went to every track event except for 3.
No, I'm saying you might have maybe been like 1, 2, or 3, but yeah,
okay.
I remember you guys at every single
I remember sitting there
meet.
waiting for all 3 of you guys. All 3 of you guys did the 4x400 relay, and it was the last event.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone, not my kids, 4x400 relay.
The lights are on, yeah.
And then you did the 200, and you also did you jump it? You
I did high jump, 200.
High jump, yeah.
4x4, and then 4x1, so.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that. Those are the good days, though. So when I tell men all the time, I say, you should show up for your kids' lives so much that it almost is boring to them to see you there. And it's more of a shock if you're not there. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, like there was games that are very rare. Like I can't even remember which ones were, but like there was some where like you guys just had something going on that you genuinely could not make it. And I was like, oh, like it was weird that you weren't there. Where it was like after every single game, I'd like a lot of times I rode the bus home with the team because like you just kind of camaraderie, you do that.
Totally.
But it was always an option to go home with you guys if I wanted. Yeah. Where I think a lot of kids on sports teams, especially like a football team where you're like basketball is like a lot of the parents are there because there's only 12 kids on the team and some of those kids only play basketball. But like football, like you have 60 kids on the high school football team and I don't know, half of those kids don't have parents at the games and they're forced to ride the bus home even though like they might not want to. And so it was cool to just even know that that was an option where like knowing other kids didn't have that option. And like just to me, knowing that you guys were at every single game, like the support and that's cool. And like, looking back, I'm like, yeah, like you kind of like, I guess I expected my parents to be there, but now as a parent for me, when I get older, like that's a standard where it's like other kids maybe, oh, my parents weren't at mine, like I was fine, but for me, you were at mine, so it's a standard for me when I have kids someday.
Well, and it's funny that you talk about those football games. Mom made those peanut butter bars every game. She kind of ran the pregame meal. I mean, your mom is like super involved, So okay, so I got a question for you. And this is not something that came up in your good or bad, but I have a question. Did I push you guys too hard? Do you feel like I pushed you too hard? Because you played 3 sports all 4 years. You worked a job as a lifeguard. By the end of high school, you were kind of running the whole shift for lifeguards. You had a car given to you by your grandparents. Or no, I think
you guys
helped a little bit, but we made you get a job and made you pay for your gas, made you pay for your insurance. Made you maintain a certain grade point average. Would you graduate with a cumulative 3.8 or something? So we pushed you really, really hard, made you go to church, made you go to youth group, all these things. Do you think, looking back, because you had some things to say when you were in the household, we made you do those things, but looking back, would you do that again to your kids or would you not do that?
Yeah, interesting question. I think I would do a version of it. Like, I think... And we weren't in the best place financially where you guys even really probably could have paid for my gas and insurance and stuff like that, especially when you're starting the ministry. And so I think that was part of it. But no, I don't think you pushed us too hard to answer that question. So yeah, to reiterate people out there, I was playing 3 sports, all 3 years of high school, which most kids weren't doing. I had a job, 3 years of high school. Most kids didn't have a job. So I was sports, because I worked at a water park. And so I was working on the weekends. So I had that. And then paying for gas and insurance with the little 2-day paycheck I had. And so I'm grateful for it. It sucked at the time, but I'm glad that you guys had us do that because in almost every job I've had, I've either gotten promoted or I've been a standout employee, and I've been told that by the bosses, or like people have looked at me as a supervisor, even though I haven't been sometimes, and it's just like, but like you get so used to working a lot of these hours or working hard, and I get to being an adult, and like a 40-hour work week is like nothing, because in high school I was playing 4 sports and then working a job, and then you kind of build these habits. And like I went to college and I played football. You said 4 years, but it was 5 because COVID. We came back for our 5th year. But like played a college sport, still got a pretty good GPA in college, was involved in a fraternity, so extracurriculars there, and then also had a full-time job. I was a lead maintenance technician at a water park, and then also worked at Les Schwab as a tire technician.
You were
and so
a ministry guy too with Young Life.
yeah, so I was like, these things carried on into my adulthood, even though I didn't have to do that. And so, yeah, no, I wouldn't say you pushed this too hard. It sucked, but I was never like, oh, I'm overworked or like tired.
You mentioned the money. So when you were coming into high school, we had just launched this ministry. Our house was in foreclosure. Things were not going well. But I look back on those times, and I would have, if I had a multi-million-dollar portfolio, I still would have made you guys work for what you earned. I still wouldn't have handed you things. I think that would have created entitled kids. Your 2 brothers, between them, owned 5 homes at 30, not even 30, Darby. And I feel like that drive has been because you've had to work hard for stuff. So, I mean, if I reflect on that time, I would say I do not regret forcing you to do certain things. It made you stronger. My only regret would be if I didn't do that and you thought it was because of love. Like if you thought I was doing that of something other than love for you, that would be a regret. But if you know it was because of my love for you, then that is not a regret to me. It's kind of how you package it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and like the thing is too, like for the dads listening out there, like if you're making your son get a job, like it's not like there's some 7th grader and they have their emotions all over the place.
Yeah.
And I was in high school and I was 16, and hey, you want a car? Or like for us, it was always for Christmas, we got like certain presents, but there's always a limit. And like, but if we wanted an Xbox or if we wanted a new game, we had to pay for it. Yeah. And it was like the extra things that like weren't a necessity, we had to pay for. Like you guys got us clothes and like things that we needed and food, but like if we wanted extra things, like a necessity that we didn't need, we had to work for that. And it was kind of, that transferred over to adulthood for sure, because it's like, oh, you want a new gun for hunting? Oh, well, you got to work maybe more hours to earn some money for that. Like, so there's certain things that kind of did translate, and I appreciated it. And like, as a parent listening, you might be like, oh, I'm going to make my kid get a job and he's going to miss out on all these things with his friends. But like, as a high schooler, I was working weekends, and like, yes, there are certain things you missed out on, but a lot of the things that happen, especially as a guy, like a son, your friends are hanging out at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. on the weekends, like chilling around a fire, playing video games. Like there's just things that they're missing out, small things, but like most hangouts with the dudes on the weekends happen in the evening in high school. And it's just like, so your kid's not going to miss out having a day job, and and you could still pay for their car or pay for their gas, but like their insurance, that's one thing that you could still pay for. Like if you want to help them out, insurance, that's $100, $20 a month that a kid could make mowing lawns.
Well, now we did pay for your insurance in college. We switched that over, but then the 2 brothers had little speeding issues, and we're like, not paying for your stupidity. So we cut that off. But I think anyway, so I forgot one more thing. I think also that you are a phenomenal teacher. Like, you're a better teacher than me. Like, when I listen to you teach, and I know with your marine biology schools that you're at, you are a phenomenal teacher. Like, that is something that God has gifted you. You're just so much more patient and clear. You're just better. Anyway, so I forgot about that one. So let's do this. Let's turn the page. I'm going to ask you a trick question. Okay. So tell me about tell me about your faith right now. Where are you doing? How are you doing spiritually? How do you assess your relationship with God? Just really, because I mean, all these things we're talking about, it really comes down to the end goal for me, which is, are my kids living for Jesus? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, back up a little bit. So you said right? So I keep talking about how things can revert into adulthood, like if you're a good parent and stuff. So like I volunteered for Young Life. For a lot of people that don't know, it's a ministry that helps young people, middle school, high school, college age kids who don't know God, basically get introduced to Jesus. And so we make it fun. So we have fun clubs. You go to camp at the end of the year that has water park, lakes, stuff like that. But yeah, I volunteered for that when I was 17. Okay, so I started as a student leader in high school. Didn't need to do that. Okay, you guys never made me do that. But I just feel like my faith was something that I needed to make my own. And so as a parent, if you're like, I don't want to make my kid go to church, eventually they'll get a choice to make it their own. And I got to as a kid at 17. And so as a dad, don't be afraid to make your kid go to church because they'll be grateful for it someday. But yeah, my faith now, kind of the last like 4 years, been trying to make it my own. Kind of moved away from my hometown in 2023. For those that don't know, moved to Florida and in a place where there's not any churches. I was in the Florida Keys. There's bars everywhere, churches nowhere. And so definitely a hard place to make your faith your own. But I like had a Bible always in my room. And so the last 2 years have been like a journey of, okay, I'm not in my hometown. I'm not surrounded by all these mentors I used to have. I'm not plugged into Young Life where I'm volunteering, working with kids. And so it's like, no one cares or no one will notice if I don't have my faith in check. And so it's like kind of okay, I need to get this dialed in. So the last 2 years have been basically just trying to figure out what that is for me. And it has been great. I've been a great Christian the last couple of years. But moved to San Diego and there's a big Christian community down there and got plugged into a great church down there. Was in a life group. Kind of really trying to make my faith my own, reading the Bible every day. And then right now where I'm currently at, I moved back in McMinnville right now. Probably will be here for another couple weeks. I'm going to church on the hill. Kind of have some buddies going with me. I'm back in town. I had a couple of friends reach out like, hey, I want to start going to church. So I'm not mentoring some people, but like just taking some guys to church.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at with my faith. Like in the process right now of dialing it in, as Jim Ramos would say. Check out his book. And so yeah, in a spot right now, I'm just trying to building a concrete base of like reading my Bible every day, just getting into habits. Because I have a weird work schedule right now, so just finding habits of finding time to read the Bible. Church right now is going through solitude, so finding time to be alone with God, whether that's 1, 2, 5 minutes, an hour. Yeah. And then also like on top of that, just getting my friends to follow with me. So not a perfect Christian right now, not even close. Not even reading the Bible as much as I should, but been going to church every week and just kind of.
And you're back serving with Young Life for a
yeah,
season,
and I'm just started volunteering with Young Life again. So yeah, it's been good. Kind of getting back into the swing of things. Yeah, kind of just getting back.
And if you have a career in marine biology and you want to hire a great teacher, great guy, that's the guy right there. Hey, son, thanks for coming on the show. I am super proud of you. Love you very much. Appreciate you.
Yeah, love you, Dad. Thank you.
Hey, hope you enjoyed today's episode. Until next time, feel the wet sand on the arena floor. Hear the deafening roar of the crowd. Taste the sweetness of victory. Get in the game. Get dirty. Grind it out. Love your kids. Push them a little bit and be a man. That's great.
Nice.
See, it's not too painful.